Welcome to Young Money with Tracy Bissett, the advice show for young millionaires in the making. It's time for some $1 Million Straight Talk with Tracy, President and Chief Financial Fitness Trainer at Bissett Financial Fitness. Each week, Tracy's going to tell you what you need to know now at the beginning of your earning curve. Basic and advanced financial concepts made clear, healthy money habits and the missteps to avoid, and all the stuff that you can do to set yourself up for a future of fantastic financial freedom. Ready to lace up and start this week's financial fitness training? Let's do it, Tracy.
Welcome to the Young Money Podcast. I'm really excited we have such a special guest, Robyn McLean. Welcome to the show, Robyn.
Thank you. It's fun to be here.
Well, thank you. And so Robyn is the founder and co-owner of the Hello Cup company. Robyn looks after the communications and the marketing for Hello Cup. Quirky and out of the box is her specialty. She's worked as a PR manager for local government and the Royal New Zealand Ballet, as well as been a journalist for newspapers, including the Dominion Post, Sunday Star Times, and Taranaki Daily News. And Robyn is located in New Zealand. So welcome again, Robyn.
Thanks.
So I'd love it if you could share with me and with the listeners a little bit about your company and how it came to be.
Sure. So our company is the Hello Cup, which is a New Zealand-made menstrual cup. It came to be because I'd heard about menstrual cups for a long time, but didn't know anyone who'd used one, and so I was a little bit apprehensive because they sounded like they'd be a really good idea, but then maybe because I didn't know anyone who'd used one, then I sort of had a question as to, well, maybe they aren't that great. So one day I just decided, well, I'm going to try one, and I did, and it was immediately life-changing for me. I've always had terrible periods, and as soon as I used it, I felt really sad because I felt that I had missed out on something that could have made my life so much easier earlier on. So then I started thinking, why aren't these mainstream? Why isn't every girl in schools using them? Because essentially menstrual cups are reusable, so they will last at least 5 years, and they hold more than tampons, and they don't absorb your blood, they hold it. So I started doing some research. The cup that I had bought, I liked, but I didn't love. And then I looked at other brands and what I liked and didn't like about them. And for me, there wasn't the perfect cup, and there were no cups at that stage being made in New Zealand. So I thought, well, actually, maybe that's something that I could change. So I called my best friend, who is a nurse, and I said, look, I've got a really good business idea for us, and I think we should just have a serious look at it, and what do you think? And she was like, okay. And, it was obviously quite out of the blue for her, but, she thought about it for a couple of minutes and then was like, actually, yes. We both have teenage daughters, and so then, it comes back to wanting to create something that has an impact on future generations. And given that half the world get periods, providing a sustainable period option has the potential to have a massive impact globally. That's how we started.
Well, that's fantastic. And from wanting to try something to, I think I can change the world with this. I think that's pretty cool how that evolved. And the fact that you had a best friend who was in a profession that would be complementary to help you with this business, I think is great as co-owners.
Yeah, and that's what made it feel so right. I mean, we've been best friends since we were 11 years old, and we've always talked about doing something together, a business together. And there's never been something that really just was like that light bulb idea that we could use to make the most of both our skills. And this definitely does, because what I'd found, one of the issues that I'd had with some of the companies that were in existence was that I found their language quite difficult to approach, and I found it a little bit off-putting the way they described how the product worked. So we just wanted to change the language and make it a little bit more fun. And as you say, quirky.
Yeah. And so for those listening, you're probably thinking, okay, where's this show going, Tracy? How did you find Robyn in New Zealand? And so for some of you who've listened to previous shows, you know I'm an activator with SheEO, which is a group where women investors come to invest money and actually vote for the companies that they want to put their investment into. And so I'm an activator and actually a super activator in Canada. And so Robyn and her best friend, they were award winners for SheEO, so received funding for the 2018-2019 year in New Zealand. And so that's how I came to learn about Robyn and to invite her here today, because I think she's got some great stories to share with us about her company and how it came to be. And certainly we can all learn from businesses no matter where they are located. So thanks again so much for joining me, Robyn.
You're welcome. It is really exciting to be part of this.
How does your business model work? Do individuals go onto the site and make purchases? Are you selling mass orders to certain groups, or how does it work? One woman at a time?
Yeah, so the whole business model question is an interesting one in itself, because from the start, we just wanted to start a business. So we probably were not your typical, numbers are not my thing. So sorry about that. I should have told you that before you invited me on your show. But creative things are. So what we decided was, we had the idea, we just wanted to bring it to life and see what happens. So we had no business plan, we had no business model. We were just like, okay, we're going to do it, and not be constrained by, oh, we should do this first, we should do that. We just went on our gut instinct. So we set up the website and initially thought that we would be solely an online business where people would buy the cups directly from our website. And that is what we still do. But also, not long after we started getting requests from retailers who wanted to stock our products. So now we have over 100 retailers around the world, and I think the retail element is also really important, because we've learnt that sometimes our customers want to go in and talk to someone before they make a purchase. So yeah, I think that side of the business is only going to grow, but for us, the online element will still remain important, and also communication with our customers. We pride ourselves on responding online and being there for them. So, we didn't want to be a sort of a cold company who didn't care about their customers. We want to know that our customers feel comfortable, that if they've got any questions, they can email us. And also, because Mary's a nurse, if it's a really personal matter, I can put them onto her, and they know that they're speaking to a professional.
Absolutely. And from checking out your website, it's very easy to read. The colors are very warm. It's very inviting.
Yeah.
And so I think you've accomplished creating that sense of welcoming and kind of safety, because it is a personal product.
Yeah, that's right. And nothing to be ashamed of. That one of the greatest things that's been happening since we started the business, we only started 15 months ago, but in that time, the discussion around periods in general has changed dramatically. It's really heartwarming to see, because for us, it's mind-blowing that it's taken this long when, as I said earlier, half the world has a period. So why is it not part of a very normalised conversation that people don't feel ashamed when they're discussing it?
Absolutely. Hello, Young Money listeners. You know that I love to talk about cash flow on the show. This episode of Young Money, featuring a fantastic entrepreneur, is sponsored by the masterclass, Can I Afford It? How to be certain of what you can and can't afford in your business in 5 minutes or less every time. This training has been specifically designed for entrepreneurs with sales in the 6 to 7 figure range to provide the 5 steps to cash flow clarity. If you are an entrepreneur with sales at these levels and want to make powerful money decisions, you do not want to miss this important masterclass. Head over to visitfinancialfitness.com/afford to register now. Stop asking yourself the question, can I afford it? And so I'm going to shift gears just a little bit to find out a little bit more about you. And so from your bio that I read, you've achieved tremendous success so far in your life and your career. When you think about things that kind of showed up as reoccurring themes or maybe trends or success factors over your accomplishments, what would you say those are?
I think for me, I'm a words person, if that makes sense. So I like to cut out the sort of rubbish and go straight to a colloquial language that people can understand. And so that's been my role as a newspaper reporter. Is, you have to, every word counts, and every word has to have a meaning, and additional waffly words that are just meaningless just don't make the cut. So I feel that that's what's helped me from go to newspapers and then into PR, where the PR world traditionally is full of that nonsense, and so I guess my PR, I saw my role in PR as changing that, and especially with my role in local government. I mean, local government is full of things that ratepayers don't understand. That needs to change. You need to be able to get your message across simply. And so I think, again, that flows on to starting up a company and explaining what your company's about and why you are doing what you're doing.
So true. And I would say that's also the genesis for this podcast. Is oftentimes when people talk about financial things, it's in acronyms, it's in complex terms, but the simpler you can make it, the better, as you've just highlighted with all of those examples.
Yeah.
And I would imagine perseverance, being open to new things, has also played a big part in your life and kind of led you to these different directions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love new things. I love meeting new people. I love doing things that are different. I think the challenge of starting a menstrual cup company was relatively appealing in the sense that I knew that when we first started, people would say that's disgusting and I'm never going to use one, which is exactly what happened, because for years, women of my age in particular, or anyone who gets a period, has sort of been told that there's only a couple of options, and those options are pads and tampons, and they are the single-use items. It's because the owners of those very large and very profitable companies, they're not going to come out and make a reusable product, because every month they make money from half the world's population. So why would they promote something that's sustainable because obviously that's going to have a huge effect on their business model and their profits. So it's actually the advent of social media that has helped, I think, my theory, small companies like ours break through, because what we needed from the outset was word of mouth. And it only takes one person to try it and say on Facebook or on Instagram that they loved it, and then that has a sort of a flow-on effect. We don't have the budgets to do big newspaper ads, so it's kind of like the little guys finally getting a voice, and it's through social media and not budget.
Absolutely. And I would say we've talked about it on the show quite a bit, but there has never been such a good time to start a business, whether as a primary role or as a side hustle. With the internet, you can sell worldwide and you can create a big impression without spending a lot of money, which is wonderful.
Absolutely. And that's definitely been the case for us.
And so if you think about your life, have you ever had a big turning point or some kind of revelation from a financial perspective?
Not so much from a financial perspective. I think definitely starting this company was a turning point, but more so from the perspective that I could see that it had the potential to make a difference from day one. I didn't realise how quickly it would grow and how much of a difference it would make in our customers' lives. We get the most amazing emails on a daily basis saying you've changed my life forever, and it's just incredible. And those emails still make us feel really emotional.
That's great.
Yeah, it's not that I've never been driven by financial things. I will make do with what I've got, and it's not something that propels me forward. But the fact that this makes such a difference, that does propel me forward. I was driven in my former career as a journalist just by meeting people and listening to their stories and being inspired by them.
Excellent. And so as you build a profitable business, certainly you'll be able to help more and more people out there, and certainly spread the word further and all of that kind of stuff. Anything you think of that you wish you'd known maybe a little bit younger when you were a kid, or something you kind of realized the hard way? I know some of our guests sometimes tell us they didn't realize what was going to happen when they were using credit cards, stuff like that.
Well, and it's not really a financial thing. It's a have faith in yourself thing. I mean, over the years, I've had lots of ideas, and I wish that I had had the confidence to try them out. I'd often think, oh, that's a great idea, and not doing anything about it. And then a few years later, someone else has the idea, and you think, oh, but I thought of that, and I should have acted on it. I think that the key is that especially in this day and age, it's not difficult to start a company and give your idea a go. I mean, it was much harder 15 years ago, but you can go online, set up a company, dip your toe in the water, and see what happens. And that's what, if I was giving any advice, if you think you've got a good idea, just do it. See what happens.
I would say I'd echo that. And I would say that over the years, my career was as a banker, and I certainly saw lots of business plans, and I teach part-time. And so I see a lot of students coming up with ideas, and they always ask me, well, should I do it? It's not really up to me. Yeah. It's up to you doing your research. If you think the market needs what you have to offer, then figure out a way to make it happen. And with the passion and conviction and filling a need that's out there, you're certainly going to be able to get to a successful business, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And I think if it's a product or a service or something that you personally would want and would use, then there's someone else out there who would be feeling the same way. People will do anything these days to make their life easier, simpler, save money, and to do something good for the environment. Those are the key areas, I think, that new businesses should look at and make sure they're ticking those boxes.
Very good. And I totally agree with that. Now, when you think of somebody out there who inspires you, whether someone in your own life or somebody who might not be involved in your day-to-day life, whether financial or not, who comes to mind?
Oh, that's a tough question. Do you know, it might sound really strange, but I'm just not one of those. I don't focus on individuals. I think I take lots of inspiration from people around me on a daily basis, but I don't focus on, there's no one individual that I would worship and want to be like, because I just believe in being yourself and really trusting your gut instinct and not getting too caught up in that whole, this is the path that so-and-so took, so this is the path I'm going to take, because, we all need to forge our own paths. And, if you need advice at a certain stage, then that's where you might look to someone and see how they tackled it. But it doesn't mean that if your gut is telling you to do something different, that you shouldn't. The people that are up there in terms of, being hailed as innovators are just that. They're innovators because they haven't played by the rule book and they've actually done something unique. So I'm kind of more in that mindset that I just want to do what feels best for us and our company and not copy or try and emulate anyone else.
Well, I think that's great. And certainly a I heard you getting some inspiration about wanting to create something that was going to be good for future generations. And so both you and your best friend thinking about your own daughters.
Yeah.
And so not that you're trying to be like them, but you're certainly trying to create something that makes this world a better place for them and generations into the future, which is wonderful.
That's right. It's more about what we didn't have. And so to go back to what I was saying earlier, it's what would have made life easier for us when we were younger, and what we've created is definitely a product that I would have loved to have had when I was 15.
Well, that's great. Now, before I let you go, I'd love it if you can share what you're working on now at the Hello Cup, and certainly where listeners can go to find out more about the company and about you.
Sure. We've got a few things that we're working on at the moment. We've just launched a red cup in collaboration with an Australian water ballerina group. So that's a limited edition cup, and a percentage of the proceeds go back to an organisation called One Girl, who help educate and ensure that girls who are missing school because they've got their period and they don't have enough product, that they're supplying them with product. We're also just about to launch a hand and cup sanitizer, which makes it easier for users when they are out and about to clean and sterilise their cup, which is just a simple spray. We are working on a low cervix cup. So there's lots going on. That was one of the things we said from the start. We don't want to be stagnant. We don't want to just produce a product and not keep developing. So we will continue to listen to our customers' feedback, and those three things have resulted from feedback. So particularly the low cervix cup, there's a lot of users out there who want something that's shorter, want a menstrual cup that's shorter. So we've listened and we're developing that currently.
That's fantastic, given the young age of the company being so adaptable and taking that feedback to heart immediately and offering new products.
Yeah, and I think you need to. I think the old adage, the customer is always right, and could be developed into the customer should always be listened to. And that's what we aim to do.
And certainly I'll put links to all your social media sites and to your website within the show notes so people can reach out to get in touch and learn more about you. Is there any final message you'd love to leave with the listeners?
Well, thanks for listening, really. And there's lots of information on our website. And if anyone does want to ask me any further questions, I'm always on the end of an email. We're just hello@thehellocup.com. We love hearing from people. That's basically all.
Well, thank you so much, Robyn. It's been really interesting to learn more about the Hello Cup, to get to know you a little bit. And I'm certainly taking a lot away with me. I know the listeners will be. You are our very first guest in New Zealand. So thank you for joining us.
Wow, that's an honour. I hope everyone can understand my accent. I'm always a bit aware of the New Zealand accent's quite distinct.
I think everyone will be fine. You've shared some really key insights into having that courage and confidence to go with what your idea is and trust it if you think somebody's going to need it. There's a lot of boldness into the business that you've started, and really just that mindset around trying to develop something that you would have liked to have when you were younger and to make the world a better place for future generations, I think is fantastic. Thanks again so much for joining us, Robyn.
Oh, thank you. I've appreciated it.
So there you have it, listeners. Robyn McLean, founder and co-owner of the Hello Cup company. So check out website and social media links in the show notes to find out more about them, and certainly don't hesitate to reach out to hear from Robyn herself. Until next time, take good care and stay financially fit.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. To all you millionaires in the making out there, if you love this podcast, please subscribe on iTunes to keep your financial fitness training going. Oh, and leave us a review. And be sure to visit 2 S's, 2 T's, financialfitness.com to take your free financial fitness assessment. Find out how financially fit you really are. See you next week, young millionaires to be.